Half the canned meat sitting in prepper pantries right now is not going to do what folks think it will. It will fill a stomach for one meal. It will not keep a working adult standing on day 14 of a grid down stretch, and it definitely will not keep a kid healthy through a bad winter. There's a little can that costs about $1, sits on every shelf in America, and gets stacked 6 deep in cabinets by good people who think they are doing the right thing. It is the single most overrated protein in the entire prepper aisle. The label says 4.6 ounces, ready to eat, long shelf life. Everything the label says is technically true. It is still the wrong can. The reason it is the wrong can has nothing to do with taste. It has to do with what happens to a body running on it for 2 weeks straight. Here's the part nobody says out loud. A stockpile is not measured in cans. It is measured in whether the people counting on you are still strong on day 10, day 15, day 30. Protein you can actually use. Fat that carries calories. Micronutrients that keep an immune system running when a doctor is not coming. Get the wrong 7 cans on your shelves and you have bought weight, not readiness. Get the right 7 and you have bought your household real time. So here's what we're doing. 7 canned meats that actually earn a spot on your shelves. What each one does, what it cost at the grocery store this week, and 1 specific can with a big red X through it that I want you to walk past every single time. Here's what the label slick prepper channels will not tell you. Before we get back to it, you've seen where this country's been going, and if it ever gets ugly on your street, whatever happens at your door is going to be over long before help shows up. So I wrote it all down. The SHTF Home Defense Manual. 667 pages on protecting your home. Doors, locks, the plan, the law, and the week nobody's coming. The cheap fix is first before anybody sells you a bunker. $47, and the link's right below this video. All right, back to it. 1 can on this list, actually 1 can I am telling you to leave on the shelf, costs about $1, weighs 4.6 ounces, and looks like the perfect grab-and-go survival protein. Half the folks reading a prepper checklist stack a case of it in their pantry and think they have solved the protein question. They have not. I'm holding that can for the end because once you see what is actually inside it and what belongs in that slot instead, the other 6 on this list stop looking like a shopping list and start looking like a plan. The reason that can gets recommended everywhere is not because it is good food. It is because it is cheap, small, and the packaging looks the part. A lot of the folks writing prepper lists never once ate their own stockpile for 2 weeks. They are selling convenient. Convenient is not the same as fed. I am Rhett Callahan. I run projects at a custom rifle shop, and my other job is being the guy in my family who reads the labels instead of the marketing. I got serious about the pantry the day I did the math on feeding 2 kids through a rough month. I am not here to scare you. I am here to make you ready. So here's the plan. 7 canned meats worth your shelf space in the order they matter. Clean protein first, then the omega heavy stuff that keeps a brain and a heart running under stress. Then the calorie-dense workhorses for cold weather and hard labor. Then the morale can that keeps the household from mutinying on canned tuna. Real prices, real brands, where they matter, real reasons. And at the end, the little 4.6 ounce can with the red X and exactly what to buy instead. The question is not whether you have food stored. The question is, on day 14, is what you stockpile still keeping the people you love strong, or am I just watching them run down on salt and filler? Once you ask it that way, half your pantry starts looking different. 2 weeks into a real disruption, power is out, stores are picked over, and no help is coming for a while. The first thing that fails in most households is not calories, it is usable protein. You feel it before you can name it. The kids get cranky and stop bouncing back. You get short-fused, foggy, weaker on stairs than you were last week. That is a body eating its own muscle because you stockpiled crackers and shelf-stable pasta and forgot that a working adult needs real protein every single day, not just carbs and salt. This is the protein layer, and it is the first one you build because everything else on your shelves fails without it. Plain canned chicken breast, the kind whose ingredient list reads chicken, water, salt, and nothing else, is the cleanest, most versatile, shelf-stable protein a normal grocery store carries. Low-acid canned meats reliably run a 2 to 5 year shelf window when stored cool and dry. A case of quality canned chicken like Keystone will hold for the top end of that. It goes into soup, rice, tacos, pasta, or a spoon straight from the can. It disappears into any meal. The fix is a case. A 12-pack of 12.5-ounce cans runs around $22 to $28 at Walmart or Sam's for the store brand. A case of Keystone canned chicken, 14.5 ounces, all natural, chicken and salt only, runs closer to $60 to $75 for 12 on Amazon or at a farm and fleet. Buy one case, store it on a shelf, off the concrete, in a room that stays under about 75 degrees. Rotate one can into a real meal every week so you learn how to cook with it before you need to. That is about $2 a can for 2+ servings of clean protein. One case, 2 shelves of space, 2 years of protein on demand for a family. That is the backbone. But protein alone does not fix what a long, stressful stretch does to a person's brain and heart. There is a specific fat your body starts screaming for by week 2, and one can on this list delivers it better than any supplement you can buy. That one is next. Chronic stress does something to a household that a bag of rice cannot fix. Sleep gets bad. Focus goes. Little cuts take longer to heal. Moods swing hard, especially in the kids, and every argument in the house lasts twice as long as it should. That is not weakness. That is a nervous system running low on the specific fats it needs to keep firing right. Omega-3s, the EPA and DHA kind, plus calcium, vitamin D, and the trace stuff a body burns through faster when it is under load. Most stockpiles are completely blind to this. They are built on protein and starch and nothing that actually rebuilds a person. This is the micronutrient layer, and it is what separates a stockpile that keeps you alive from a stockpile that keeps you strong. Wild-caught canned salmon, pink or red, does not much matter, brings the whole package. Complete protein, EPA and DHA omega-3 fats that the medical literature ties directly to heart, brain, and inflammation, plus edible bones that deliver real calcium in a form your body actually absorbs. Same 2 to 5 year shelf window as any low-acid canned meat. And unlike a fish oil capsule, it is food. No bottle to expire, no refrigeration, no dependency on a supplement supply chain that stops the day the trucks stop. The move is 6 to 12 cans of wild-caught, not farmed, pink or red salmon per adult in the house. 6-ounce cans of bumblebee or chicken of the sea wild pink salmon run about $2.50 to $3.25 at any grocery store. Red or Alaska sockeye runs closer to $4 to $5. Buy the pink for volume, the sockeye for the good weeks. Eat the bones. Mash them right into the meat, you will not feel them, and that is where the calcium is. $3 a can, heart, brain, and bones in a shelf-stable pouch. Name the multivitamin that does that. Salmon is the premium play, though. The next one is the one every prepper on a budget should be stacking cases of. Cheaper, more common, and if you pick the right variety, safer than most folks realize. There is a version of prep that only works if you are already comfortable. The kind where everything on the shelf is premium, small batch, and $30 a jar. That version collapses the second a real family with a real grocery budget tries to actually build a stockpile. You end up with a beautiful 8 cans of imported anchovies and nothing to feed anybody with when the moment lands. The working class prepper problem is not willpower. It is per dollar protein. And the answer has been sitting on the shelf under $3 the whole time. Chunk light tuna is the daily driver protein of a serious stockpile. It is cheaper than chicken breast per gram of protein, it packs flat so cases stack tight, and it has one specific edge people do not talk about enough. Chunk light is skipjack, which runs much lower in mercury than albacore or ahi. That matters when you are going to eat this stuff 2 or 3 times a week for months. Same 2 to 5 year shelf window. Some omega-3s, not salmon level but a real amount, plus lean protein, and a taste profile familiar enough that even picky eaters in the family will actually eat it. The buy is a flat. 24 cans of chicken of the sea or Star-Kissed Chunk Light in water, about $22 to $28 at Walmart or Costco, so roughly $1 a can. 2 flats per adult is a serious position. In water, not oil, oil if you want max protein per calorie. In oil if you want the calories to stretch. Store it flat, keep it off any wet surface, and rotate a can into a real lunch every week. Tuna salad, tuna melts, tuna and rice. If the family does not recognize it as normal food, the stockpile fails when it activates. $1 a can. Cleaner than that little 4.6 ounce can we are getting to. Enough protein to carry a real diet. But protein and lean fish only get a household so far. Cold weather, hard work, cutting firewood, and a power outage that eats calories a can of tuna cannot cover. The next one is the calorie can. And yeah, it is the one everybody makes fun of. Week 2 of hauling water, splitting wood, walking to check on the neighbors, a body burns through calories at a rate a normal grocery week does not touch. And here's the other thing nobody warns you about. The moment your family opens the pantry and sees the same 6 things over and over, morale drops off a cliff. Kids stop eating, spouses get quiet, everyone starts fantasizing about a hamburger. A stockpile that keeps you alive but miserable is a stockpile that ends in a bad decision. Going out somewhere you should not, opening the door to someone you should not. This is where calories and morale sit. 2 things preppers underweight because they do not sound serious. Spam and quality canned ham are the answer. Spam runs about 180 calories per 2-ounce serving, mostly from fat, which is exactly what a hard-working body needs when it is cold. It fries, it slices, it goes in eggs, rice, ramen, sandwiches, and here's the storage note that saves your life. Any bulging can, any leaking seam, any heavily rusted lid gets thrown out. Not tasted, not sniffed, thrown out. Botulism in low-acid canned meat is not something you gamble on. Cool, dry storage, off concrete, first in, first out rotation. A 12-ounce can of Spam Classic runs about $3.50 to $4.50 at any grocery store, less by the case at Sam's or Costco. Stack 6 to 12 cans per adult. For a step up, DAC Premium Canned Ham, about 16 ounces, runs $8 to $12. Actually reads like real ham on the plate. Worth having 2 or 3 for the morale weeks. Store them on a shelf you can see, not buried in a bin. Write the purchase date on the lid with a Sharpie. Cook a can into breakfast every couple months so the family recognizes it as food, not novelty. $4 a can. Calories, salt, fat, and a taste the kids will not riot over. That is a real prep. And here's a little flattery you have earned. You are still with me on can number 4, which means you are already ahead of most of your street. Next one is the substantial meat, the one that turns a bowl of rice into an actual meal. Try feeding a working adult a bowl of white rice and a can of tuna for lunch on a January day when he has been outside since sunup. Watch what happens by 3 in the afternoon. He crashes. His hands get cold, his grip gets weaker. That is iron and hard calories talking, and it is one of the quiet ways a household falls apart in a long emergency. Kids get pale, anybody menstruating in the house gets hit twice as hard. The stockpile looked complete on paper. It was missing the meat that actually feels like a meal. This is the calorie and iron layer, and canned beef is where it lives. Corned beef, canned beef chunks, canned beef stew, all of it brings dense calories, real iron, and the mouthfeel of an actual meal instead of a survival ration. Standard grocery store corned beef runs the same 2 to 5 year window. Step up to Keystone canned beef, all natural, beef and salt, and you are looking at reliable 5+ years. Yoder's canned beef, if you can find it, is the deep storage play. A lot of prepper community feedback puts it at a practical 10 years when stored right. This is your cold weather, hard work protein. A 12-ounce can of Libby's corned beef runs $4.50 to $6 at most grocery stores. Grab 6 per adult minimum. Keystone canned beef in a 14.5-ounce can runs $9 to $12. More nutrition per can, worth the step up for a third of your beef position. Yoder's is mail order, roughly $16 to $22 a can, and you buy it once for the deep storage shelf and forget it. Store the same way, cool, dry, off concrete, and turn a can of corned beef into hash with potatoes and onions once a month. So the recipe is in your hands, not just your head. $5 for a real meal, $10 if you want it to outlive your mortgage. That is a shelf that actually feeds people. Next one is the little can that looks like nothing and outperforms almost everything on this list per dollar. the one your grandfather ate, and the one every serious prepper eventually comes back to. Somewhere around week 3, a real problem shows up in households that only stock the pretty stuff. The kids will not touch it anymore. Salmon has been done 4 ways. Chicken is boring. The tuna has turned into a joke. Everybody is tired and slightly underfed on the exact nutrients that keep a family healthy, and the budget for a resupply run, if there even is one, is thin. This is the moment a good stockpile either has a fallback that works or it does not. The households that make it through the long stretch usually have one thing in common, and it is usually the thing everybody skipped at the store. Sardines and canned mackerel are, ounce for ounce and dollar for dollar, the most nutritionally dense canned meats in a normal grocery store. Complete protein, big omega-3 numbers on par with salmon, edible bones that carry serious calcium, plus vitamin D, B12, selenium, the whole trace mineral lineup that keeps immune systems and thyroids running. Same 2 to 5 year shelf window, longer if the tin is intact. The catch is taste. Sardines are an acquired preference for some folks. The fix is rotation now, not later. Eat them on crackers with hot sauce and mustard before you need them, so the family recognizes them as food. A 3.75 ounce tin of King Oscar or Beach Cliff sardines in olive oil runs $1.50 to $2.50 at Walmart, Aldi, or any grocery store. Canned mackerel in a 15 ounce can runs about $3 to $4. Stack 24 sardine tins and 6 mackerel cans per adult. That is a full nutritional insurance policy for about $60 total. Store them flat, cool, dry. Once a week, eat one on crackers with mustard, sliced onion, and hot sauce. 9 out of 10 people who claim they hate sardines have only had them once, cold, on a Ritz. Prepared right, they are better than the fish sandwich on any drive-thru menu. $2 a tin, better nutrition than a $30 bottle of fish oil, cheaper than the can with the red X we are finally getting to, which brings us to the last one. The little 4.6 ounce can you've been seeing in every prepper video, the one I've been holding since the start, and exactly what to buy instead. Alright, that little dollar can I've been holding since the top of the video, the one that half the prepper checklists on the internet still tell you to stack by the case. Armour Vienna Sausage Original. Net weight 4.6 ounces, 130 grams. Small, cheap, ready to eat, long shelf life. Every single thing the label says is technically true, and it is still the wrong can. Flip it over. The ingredient panel reads like a hot dog, not a survival protein. Mechanically separated chicken and pork, beef, water, corn syrup, salt, plus a stack of preservatives. Sodium nitrite, sodium erythobate, flavorings. That is not clean protein. That is the cheapest possible meat slurry, engineered for flavor and shelf life. Sold to you in packaging that whispers prepper. $1 for a 2-week shelf eater looks like a deal. It is the fool's protein. 2 weeks of leaning on that can as real protein, and a family is running on nitrates, corn syrup, and enough sodium to spike blood pressure at exactly the moment nobody has got a doctor. The real 7th slot is canned turkey. Valley Fresh or Swanson white turkey in a 9.75 ounce can. Ingredient list of turkey, water, salt. Runs $3 to $4 a can at any grocery store. Roughly the same total dollars as a stack of Viennas, and it is actual food. Every other trick on this list is worth less if you skip this swap. One swap, $3. Real turkey instead of pink slurry with a prepper-looking label. That is the whole difference between a stockpile that feeds people and a stockpile that just fills shelves. Walk past the little can with the red X every time. I will be straight with you. If Vienna sausages are your comfort food, keep 3 cans in the pantry as morale food and enjoy them on a bad day. I am not going to pretend they are poison. What I am telling you is do not build the shelf on them, because when the shelf has to carry a family through a long stretch, it needs to actually carry a family. Morale can is fine. Foundation can, it is not. So here's what you do this week before the next grocery run. 3 moves under $100 total. 1 flat of chunk light tuna and a case of plain canned chicken. That is your protein foundation, done in 1 Walmart trip. 6 cans of wild pink salmon and 2 dozen tins of sardines. That is your micronutrient nutrient insurance done in one aisle, and swap every can of the Enna sausage on your shelf for canned turkey. Same dollars, real food. That is it. You just moved your household from having food to having a plan. You did not panic buy. You did not spend $400 on freeze-dried buckets. You got ready. Ready beats scared every single time. Drop a comment. Which one of these 7 are you buying first this week? And tell me the canned meat your grandmother swore by that I did not put on this list. There is always one. Somebody in the comments knows a brand I need to be eating. I read every one. Do me one thing. Send this to the one person in your family whose pantry you actually worry about. The one still stacking the wrong cans. Not for me, for them, before the moment they need it lands. Next, we are going deeper. The canned vegetables that actually hold their nutrition, the shelf-stable dairy that outlasts everything you would expect, and the one bulk staple every prepper misses. Subscribe so it shows up before the truck stop, not after. Read the labels, stack the good ones, and I will see you at the counter.